policies. One issue we must address is the rate of obesity within our community and the related rise in the instances of chronic disease. Almost 1 in 3 children in Santa Clara County are overweight or obese by the age of 5. More than half of the adults are either overweight or obese. Growing rates of obesity put more of our residents at risk for chronic diseases and for increased mortality. According to a recent study, the number of Americans with diabetes will double in the next 25 years. As a start, I will be submitting a referral that outlines new standards for food served at our county-sponsored meetings and events. I will also work to have the county building become a drop-off spot for vegetable and fruit boxes supplied by local farms. The county can also examine new approaches to improving our built environment so all neighborhoods have equal access to nutritious foods and opportunities for exercise. We need better data that is specific to cities and neighborhoods to better understand the health of our communities so we can better focus our resources. We must develop proposals that tackle the current health inequities that exist and create a plan that will expand access to healthy food options in areas that have high rates of poverty and poor nutrition. I will support the county's participation in a regional food system planning process that will develop recommendations aimed at increasing access to locally grown produce. In addition to tackling issues related to the built environment, we must continue to increase access to preventative health services. The continued rise in sexually transmitted infections concerns me a great deal. It should concern all of us. Specifically, we must do more to stop women from being infected with HPV. This can be done by vaccinating young women before they become sexually active, thereby preventing serious and life-threatening diseases later on. The same with HIV/AIDS. We have long known how to prevent and detect HIV infections early. Yet, in our county, prevention dollars have eroded. Therefore, we must restore funding for HIV/AIDS services, particularly in the areas of prevention, screening, and early detection. Over the last 5 years, the Public Health Department has been cut by nearly $21 million, with the loss of 180 employees. The Department of Alcohol and Drug Services has been cut by nearly $4 million, with the loss of more than 30 employees. As one of my policy initiatives, I will strengthen the county's role in public health advocacy and drug and alcohol prevention and treatment. We can begin to rebuild these programs with the savings generated in administrative services from the shift of the public health and drug and alcohol departments to the county executive's office. I will bring forward to my colleagues that will direct the county executive to add $5 million back to the programs in public health and $3 million to the Department of Alcohol and Drug Services. Of course, we shouldn't focus entirely on physical health and ignore environmental health. The two go hand in hand, which is why, as board president, I will focus on environmental issues as well. I am proud to serve along with Supervisor Niss on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District and was honored to be appointed by Governor Schwarzenegger to the California Air Resources Board. Serving on both agencies, I have been able to bring our county's perspective to the important environmental issues. The Board of Supervisors adopted the environmental stewardship goals that Supervisor Cortese and I put forth. These goals, along with many other comprehensive environmental initiatives, serve to make the county a leader in sustainability efforts. We are working to move toward zero waste, both in our operations and for our unincorporated areas. As part of that, I will submit a referral to ensure that county-sponsored events are zero-waste events. I'm excited that the board will have the opportunity to consider a ban on plastic bags once our year-long education period is over. When that time frame is complete, I will bring forward an ordinance to ban single-use plastic bags in the county's unincorporated areas. Composting is critical to diverting waste from our landfills. I am pleased that our county facilities are now beginning to compost on a larger scale. We also have improved our green building policies for new residential construction and county facilities. This spring, we will consider new green building policies for multifamily and commercial buildings. What we have been doing with the Habitat Conservation Plan and the Williamson Act is very important in protecting open space. Special thanks to Supervisor Gage for his work in keeping agriculture viable in Santa Clara County. Currently, staff is looking at the possibility of installing solar panels at various facilities throughout the county and implementing a regional power purchase agreement that will be the largest power purchased by local government in the United States when it is complete. In addition, the county is starting its own energy efficiency retrofit program. This will help homeowners make energy efficient and renewable energy improvements to their homes while reducing their utility bills. In order to ensure that the county is a leader in this field, my next initiative is to create with the county executive and my board colleagues to create an Office of Sustainability. Although it is difficult to do this with our current budget, I believe it will help save money in the long run. It will also ensure we meet our many local, regional, and federal mandates. Here is my vision for Santa Clara County and the green economy. First, zero-emission vehicles are manufactured in Silicon Valley, which will provide thousands of jobs. Second, these cars are purchased by county employees and the county itself. Third, at the county government center, we have solar panels in our parking lots and on top of our buildings. Panels manufactured locally and installed by workers trained in solar installation at San Jose City College. Fourth, connected to these solar panels are recharging stations, so batteries are charged by renewable energy, not from the grid, which may include non-renewable sources. This technology would come from a Silicon Valley startup. As a first step, I will propose that the county government center, where you are all now standing or sitting, and our surrounding facilities use 100% renewable energy. To successfully administer all the elements of county government, transparent decision-making by our elected officials is important to maintain the public's trust. It may surprise people that the board meetings are not televised or webcast. I feel it is important that our meetings are at least webcast so that they are as open and accessible as possible. That led me to introduce a policy last year to fund the necessary technology. So beginning today, the proceedings of this chamber are being broadcast live on the internet and archived for viewing. It took a long time, Susie. Accessible government also is hampered by the lack of parking. Who hasn't been frustrated by parking here at 70 West Heading? Only a few people. Yes, the county has a parking structure several blocks away, but that is often inconvenient for people with limited mobility or who just need to park and enter the building for a brief period of time. To me, nothing says public not wanted like having no public parking. Because we need to offer some short-term on-site parking for the public, I will be coming forth with a proposal to work with various departments to make sure that more public parking is made available. Santa Clara County comes up short in many of the allocations and decisions being made by our regional government bodies, and Mayor Reed mentioned this. Other communities have fared much better when it comes to this funding. Part of this is due to unequal representation on these bodies. Santa Clara County is home to 1/4 of the Bay Area's population, yet we do not have 1/4 of the representation on these decision-making bodies. This is a grave injustice, economically and ethically. Working closely with Supervisor Cortese, we will bring forth legislation that will guarantee that the residents of Santa Clara County have equitable representation on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, which is the leading agency in allocating transportation dollars. Finally, if I had to make just one overall comment about the state of the county, it is that despite all the economic troubles we face, I believe we are fundamentally strong and that we are in a better position to weather the fiscal storm than almost any other place in America. There is an implicit understanding that all of us, and I mean all of us, working together can achieve more than we can by working alone, and that we can be an example to others of how people of differing backgrounds, cultures, genders, religions, and sexual orientation can get along in harmony. We have made much progress in this regard, all of which we should be justifiably proud. That brings me to an historic event of personal importance to me. It concerns two former supervisors who are here today, Supervisor Susie Wilson and Supervisor then Senator Dan McCorkadale, who's right there. It was August 6th, 1979, 31 years ago, when I was a 26-year-old staffer for Supervisor Wilson. That morning, the board was hearing an ordinance to make it illegal to discriminate against gays and lesbians in housing and employment. Although there were a number of people speaking in favor of the ordinance, I remember the busloads of people brought by the opposition. I listened in my office as speaker after speaker made derogatory statements about gays and lesbians and how they deserve no protections under the law. It is never easy to stand your ground in front of a crowd of angry people who hold positions that are different from your own. But these courageous supervisors did just that as they voted for the ordinance. Sitting in my cubicle 10 floors up, I, a gay man who wasn't out to my friends and family, felt tremendous pride toward my government representatives. It showed me that Santa Clara County was a place where I could live and be accepted for who I am. And if I was denied a job or housing because I was gay, then I would have legal recourse. Although the ordinance was passed by the board, unfortunately opponents gathered enough signatures to place it on the 1980 ballot, just as they did with a similar ordinance for the city of San Jose. Both went down to defeat by an almost 4-1 margin. But much has changed in 30 years, especially when it comes to attitudes towards the gay and lesbian community. While Proposition 8, the initiative to deny gays and lesbians the right to marry, was passed by California voters, in Santa Clara County it failed by 53% of the vote. Our Board of Supervisors, of which I was a member, voted to oppose the measure. And here it is, in these same chambers, that I stand before you as the first openly gay person elected to the Board of Supervisors, and who, elected by his colleagues to serve as board president, is able to give this 2010 State of the County address. Thank you for joining me.